Hello, beautiful human creatures from the future, present, and wherever you are in whatever timeline or dimension. I would like to start by saying I'm so happy to be connecting with you at last. For the past few years, months, these stories have been I wouldn't say cooking because they've really been cooking for much longer than I realized. But it has been like a time of condensation in the past years. And and I've known for a very long time that these things need to be shared and that I need to talk about these things, although many of you will come in the future, but many of you are already here with me and connecting. And this play of speaking to those who are in the future and speaking to those who are in the present and dealing with all the emotions and the energy that moves within me with these stories, and at the same time discovering and witnessing the messages and the things that come through all these elements. It was complex to start sharing, but now that I've started and that I'm actually putting these stories out there and receiving the feedback of those of you that are already vibrating with what is being shared here, it's just really, really, really beautiful. Really beautiful. So thank you, Divine Weaving, for your presence and for our connection. So, where were we? I met this beautiful path. I found what I was looking for. And then I realized I jumped something. I just wanted to mention something that I jumped. Between that first answer that God gave me of what you're looking for is in your womb, and through this ineffable love that you're going to experience with this creature and serve this creature and raise this being for me, that's your answer. Between that and me meeting this path of ayahuasca, Persia did not disappear. It just went to a level of one day. One day. When I received this answer from God about my daughter, I knew, Persia, I'll go one day. I'll go one day. So now, going back to this moment, I went to this retreat. I drank this beverage for 3 days. I recognized that I am incredibly beautiful and perfect just as I am. I realized that all I need to do in life is to be who I am. And I was given tools and glimpses of areas in my life where I just needed to get rid of masks and things that are not who I am. And I also realized, and this is a very deep and important part of the understanding, that I did not create myself. This thing that I am is genuinely a gift. I did not create all of this. And I felt complete. With these understandings and with these teachings that came through, I felt absolutely complete. I thought these people who were drinking this beverage every 15 days were out of their minds, and I never thought I was going to be one of them. But as I, like, time went by and I was digesting the experience and the things I saw and the things I felt. And there's one other thing that happened to me in these days. You know, I told you in my search, in my very, very, very long search, I had been to many places. I had knocked on many doors. And these doors normally have people in them, right? Like I attended courses and retreats, and there's this thing about the community, the, how do they call it? Sangha. So there's the teaching, and then there's the people that attend the teaching. I never felt comfortable amongst people in a spiritual context. It was like, okay, there's like not a problem, but I'd rather be by myself. I'd rather be at home in, like, in front of my own little altar or setting, or meditating by myself, like, or I was okay for a moment with people, but I would always feel more comfortable in a private setting. And in this experience with that sacred tea in those 3 days, for the first time ever, I really felt the power and the blessing and the purpose, maybe purpose, I don't know the exact word, but the force of all of us together. I went through things that I felt so literally held by those around me. And I literally felt and perceived how we are, like, holding each other and doing things for each other. And in the same way that the flowers were mirroring these things and giving me teachings, I knew I was doing this for others. For example, I think I did mention that I started laughing. I couldn't, like, in those 3 days, I just couldn't stop laughing. And then my laughter created something in someone, and then that someone, like this thing that is actually always happening. We're always doing something for another, and the others are always doing something for us. And this element of the spiritual community had never really clicked for me. So anyway, a few weeks passed. I'm trying to digest what happened. And then I decided to contact someone that I met, that I had met before, and that was present in the workshop. But I thought maybe this person is someone that can help me digest the experience. So I contact him and I asked him if we could meet over the weekend just to have coffee or something. And he says, no, this weekend I can't because I'm going to Tepoztlan. And I knew that the meeting place of this community was in Tepoztlan. And something inside me, it was like a burst, said, are you going to the church? Can I come? And another part of me was like, what are you saying? Like, like, I thought you said you were not going back ever. But I went with the flow I went with the flow of my own burst. And he told me, let me ask. So he asked, and then he came back to me and he was like, say, like, yes, you can come. And I'm thinking, what? Like, why am I going back? And I went back. And I went back. It was just a one night session, not a whole night thing, but a few hours thing. And everything was so different. It wasn't that majestic bliss, joy, love, beauty, golden violet, yes-ness of that first time. It was awkward and shadowy, and I went to some really, like, dark places of myself and my family and, like, my ancestry, and it was super weird. But then it was so weird and so contrasting with the bliss and beauty of the first experience that I felt like, no, no, this is not going, like, listen, I know you. This is not gonna stay like this. No, 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 no. You're not like, it's not gonna stay like this. Don't show me this side. Come on. so so I felt, no, I'm gonna need to come back a third time just to settle things. and in that window, life, something really interesting happened with two very beloved people in my life. I was driving on the streets of Mexico City, and my brother crosses the street in front of me. So I stop. We hadn't seen each other for some time, and he sees me and he looks into my eyes, and immediately he recognized something had changed. He told me, "What are you doing? Your light is different. I can see in your eyes." Like, he was so clear. He just saw something. Something happened to me. So I parked my car. We go for a beer, and he who had experienced all kinds of substances in his life and who was very much into, especially particularly psychedelics and acids and like psytrance and this kind of like psychedelic life, really to the edge, edge, and yeah, he had very extreme experiences in his life. He told me, "You are courageous. You're really courageous. I'm not ready. I'm not ready because I know she's going to, like, I know this medicine, this substance, this sacrament is going to tell me off and is going to put me in shape. And I'm not ready for that." In Spanish, me va a regañar. Yo ya sé que me van a regañar. Si voy, me van a regañar y no estoy listo. Qué valiente, mi hermanita, he said. And then, like a week after that, there was another friend. Like, at that time, we weren't that close. We were just like good friends. It's someone that I had met a few years before, but he met me and he told me the same thing. Like, you've done something. You did something. You have a very different light, a very different energy. What did you do? So I share with him my experience, and he tells me, "I want that. I want to come. Next time you go, I want to come." So indeed, I went for my third time to settle things. He came with me, and with him came his wife. And his wife and myself, we made a super profound connection immediately. It was, so there's two types of ceremonies. There's sitting ceremonies and there's dancing ceremonies. And the dancing ceremonies, it's very simple, basic steps, but it's very regular. It creates like a mandala. On one side you've got the men, and on the other side and you've got the women, and we're lined up in a very organized way, and we're dancing in this very specific move, back and forth, creating this vibration with this sacrament. And it was one of those. It was my first time in one of those dancing ceremonies, and she was next to me. We were together and we danced together, and something really profound and hard to describe in words happened between her and I. And after this ceremony, which in my mind, so I had my first experience where I thought I wasn't coming back. Something called me back. And it wasn't that good. And I said, okay, this wasn't that good, but we're going to settle it in the third one. And the third one, that was it, okay? So that I went to settle things on this third one. And then these two friends, my friend and his wife, got really hooked. And they were like full on, we want to go back to the next one and to the next one and to the next one. So I contact the organizers and I tell them, listen, my friends want to come to the next one, but I'm done. Like, I went to my third one. Thank you very much. And the organizer told me, listen, you brought these people. You can't just send them. Like, if you brought them, it, like, if they're going to come, they need to come with you because you brought them. And then I was like, okay, this is meant to be. I'll be there. So we started going. The three of us started attending quite regularly to these sessions. They happen more or less sometimes once a month, sometimes twice a month. And in one of those, we it happened, the leaders of these works, there was this small ceremony that happened in their home. And in their home there were these pictures of the female leader with these grandmothers, these elders, these women. And my friend, the wife of my friend, this woman, I don't know. I actually don't know. I didn't go into these stories intentionally deciding that I was not going to mention people's names. I think I've only mentioned dead people's names. But somehow that feels right. Somehow that's feel right. That is feeling right. Not to say people's names yet, maybe. Maybe it's a yet. Anyway, she's a photographer. She's an amazing photographer, documentalist. And she was very curious. She started asking questions to the female leader of these works about these photographs and these women. And then she started sharing about this council, the council of 13 grandmothers. She was a translator of the Mexican representative of this council, and my friend was super curious, and we got to know that there was going to be a gathering of these grandmothers in a few months' time, in November of that year. And my friend got super excited, and she got super like, let's go there. She told me, like I said, I was working in film production at that time, and she was like, let's do this. Let's go and let's go and record something. Let's find funds. She was super excited that we're going to do a documentary. We're going to do a documentary maybe about these women, maybe. And this gathering was going to happen in Brazil. It happened that two of the grandmothers in this council were part of this ayahuasca path, this sacrament in Brazil. So I spoke to a couple of people, and it was just super smooth, super fast, and super easy to make that happen. Much further along the line, I started calling God Perfect Productions because, oh my God, like it's just so perfect. I couldn't have, if it was just my will, like, okay, I'm gonna go to Brazil and go and have like these experiences with this sacrament and like I wouldn't have had the means, but everything is just so perfectly woven. So I was attending these sessions with my friend who's a photographer, and because she is who she is, it was really easy to gather the funds. Very easily, someone said, okay, I'm going to pay for the flights. And then I had other friends that said, you can stay with us. And then she gathered funds for us to be there. And then in no time, we were ready to go to Brazil and spend, I don't know, something like 10 days, 15 days in Brazil to make a documentary about these elders. And it wasn't specifically about this sacrament, this path that we were getting to meet and starting to have a relationship with. But it happened. And a few months later, we're traveling to Brazil, and we're in this gathering. And it turns out that there was already a group of people doing a documentary about these elders, about these grandmothers. We didn't really have the access that we thought we would have. It didn't really flow in that direction. But on the first day of the gathering, someone comes and tells us there's going to be a ceremony of this path tonight in this other place. Do you want to come? We'll organize everything. We didn't even have like the proper clothes. We were like completely unprepared to come to a ceremony of this path, but we said yes, of course. And we get a ride and this and that. This was Brasilia, which is a city like you transport is not that easy. This place was like 2 hours away, but someone gave us a ride and this and that, and there was a small group and everything connected. We arrive in the place. They give us our little book. You're gonna sit here. I'm sitting there. We take the sacrament. Ceremony begins, and in the middle of the thing, the force is like super intense, super strong, super powerful. And I look around, and the place is decorated with these all these like Christian religious images and shiny, super like kitsch decorations. And everybody's singing these super strange, peculiar songs. I mean, I had heard them before, but everything just looks like surreal. Surreal and peculiar and kitsch. And I ask myself, like inside, of course, what am I doing here? And another part, myself responds, I don't know, but I love it. And in a nutshell, it's so weird sometimes, and it's so peculiar, and it's so strange. Like, you know what I'm talking about. It's so strange. I don't know, but I love it. Anyway, there's a thing in this path. By the end of these 15 days, 14 days, 2 weeks in Brazil, we attended 9 ceremonies, which is a lot, I would say. Like in those days, it was definitely a lot. But because there was this gathering of grandmothers, there were lots of like events happening and different types of like, not different types, it was all within this path that I guess at some point I'll share the name. I don't know. I really don't know why I'm not saying the name right now, but that's what's happening. In the course of these days that we were in Brazil, attending the gathering and not doing the documentary that we thought that we were doing, we attended 9 ceremonies. And in the very, very last ceremony, I'm dancing in front of a picture. It was the picture of this man with a very, very long white beard. Somehow he reminded me of my father. He had something the look of my father, with a hooky nose and a very intense, how do you say mirada? Glance? Look? Not the way he looks, but the way he looks at you. The way he was looking at me, like very penetrating. And I feel I really like felt the moment, felt like I was gonna cry. It was so intense, and he looked at me, and his like I was looking at the photo, and he kind of just asked me, okay, like, are you gonna stay there? Are you gonna stay there in the visitors? Because visitors are dressed in white, and the people who have chosen this path as their path wear a specific uniform. And when you choose to be part of this path, the word that they use in Portuguese is to get your uniform. You get your uniform, and then you become part of this holder, and like, yeah, that's your path. So he looks at me and he tells me, you're gonna stay there? Like, we know each other. Like, now you know. Now you know what this is. You know, we've met. Are you gonna stay there in the line of the visitors? Are you gonna stay there dressed in white? Or are you going to commit to this relationship? And it really felt like, it literally felt like a boyfriend girlfriend vibe. Like, are we just gonna be dating, or are we gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend kind of thing? Like, if you want, we can just keep on dating, but are you going to enter this relationship, and are we going to be boyfriend girlfriend? And I'm dancing there, and I feel this love, and I'm like, of course I'm gonna say yes. Of course I'm gonna say yes. Yes, yes, I want to enter this relationship, and yes, I want to get my uniform. At the end of this ceremony, my photographer, beloved friend, and I, we go and lie down. And we were lying down in this couch bed, and we were having like these super strong visions and feelings, and the whole room was like a serpent. And we were talking about the serpent. There's something. This was missing. So I've talked about my brother and his intense, crazy life. At some point in his life, he was living in my house for a few months. He had actually been in jail. He had been in jail in Spain for traveling with illegal substances. And after he came out from jail, directly to my house. And he spent a few months in my house. I'm going to say a parenthesis because that can sound really dramatic, right? That he was in jail. One of the things that I really loved about my brother is his way of just bringing out the juice in all his experiences. He was also very lucky. He was sent to this jail in a small province where he talked about it. He had like this private room. It had like an actual door, not these, like, no bars, a door. He came out like super healthy, super strong. They had like a yoga teacher come in, I don't know how often. They had a library, and he took this like like an opportunity, like a retreat, detox. Detox. I don't know, it was like a year and a half that he was in there, and he got super well, and he got super strong, and he was just excited. Every time he shared about his experiences, he was just like excited about, like, you won't believe what happened to me, and the kind, like, and I met this person, and like he went to these extreme places, and he made of these things just amazing adventures and stories. Anyway, he comes out of jail directly to my house. He spends there a few months, and then he disappears again into his life and into his party and into his groove. And he leaves a few things there. And one of the things he leaves there is a book called The Cosmic Serpent. And when I go into this journey, when my friend, this photographer friend, and I, we go to Brazil, we start reading this book together. Because this book is the journey and the findings of a very scientific, stoic, I don't know if stoic is the word, but non-believer person, European. I don't remember many of the details, but this European scientist is sent by the company he works with to live, I think it was Peru, somewhere in the Amazon. And he's going to study some of these substances, including ayahuasca. And this is a book about his findings. And anyway, I'm not going to go into the details of this book, but I do recommend it. The Cosmic Serpent. And I think Jeremy Narby is his name. Not 100% sure. What you mean you're not going to get lost in there? You found yourself in there. Bora, talk about the Cosmic Serpent. Okay, Cosmic Serpent. Ay, Cosmic Serpent. So, my friend, the photographer, and I were discovering this relationship. This huge thing was opening inside us, in our lives, in our understandings, in our experiences, in our perception of reality and the world, in our vision. It was a huge thing, what was happening to us. So this documentary that we wanted to do was a deep exploration into that. And we thought these women, this group of women, could shed some light in these directions. And yes, our journey, the journey of my friend and my journey, was super intimately linked with this magic potion and the things that were happening to us in relationship with these sacraments. So I had this book in my house, and my brother himself, he had a very close relationship with the Cosmic Serpent. Actually, this little wooden sculpture that you see back there, that's an image of Kukulkan. Kukulkan is the Cosmic Serpent in the Mayan cosmogony. He's the highest god, the force of creation, feathered serpent, the union of below and above. And he had this thing tattooed. His whole back was a Kukulkan. Anyway, I found this book in my house. And this book, listen, I didn't on purpose. When I realized I needed to talk about this, I thought maybe I should go and refresh myself, like what the book is about, because this was a long time ago. All of this happened in 2011, and now we're in 2026. But I felt, no, just like talk about what stayed, what remained, what 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 taste and the ingredients that this book left in this weaving for you. So, what I remember from this book is that the writer was coming from a very scientific atheist perspective, to study these plants. He was a biologist or something like that. And he came to meet ayahuasca, and he tried it himself. And he had some super profound experiences that were far beyond what he was expecting to receive, and his experiences kind of like shifted completely his perspective. To start off with, ayahuasca is made with it's the brewing of two plants. Normally people talk about ayahuasca as a plant, but it's not a plant. Ayahuasca is not a plant. Ayahuasca is the brew of two different plants. One of these plants is a vine, and the other one is a leaf. So it's the masculine and the feminine principle. The substance that makes you have all these visions and all this everything is called DMT, and it's a molecule that already lives inside us, but we don't feel it all the time because in our body there is also a suppressor of DMT. So these two plants, the vine and the leaf, one of them holds the suppressor, goes into your body and suppresses the suppressor. And the other one has a big dose boost of DMT. And this allows for the effect to happen. If you were only drinking the DMT boost, you wouldn't feel it because you have the suppressor active in your body. So think of the Amazon rainforest. Millions, thousands, millions of species, millions of leaves and plants, and millions. The chances of combining these exact two ones, the chances of coincidence or whatever, to combine the exact vine that suppresses with the exact leaf that boosts. So the first thing that he says is, listen, just by mere probability, it's more likely to be the truth, what the tribes and the indigenous people say. We received this information from the spirits of the plants themselves. They say, it's me, and this is how you do it. This is more likely than someone by chance putting these two plants together and making this brew and coming to this formula together. So this is one of the things that he talks about. The likelihood of the spirits of nature simply giving instructions and saying how they need to be used, how they need to be prepared. That is more likely, because if you look at the vine and the leaf, they're not particularly, I mean, the leaf looks just like any other leaf. It's not like exotic or like calling in any particular way. But they are who they are, and they produce what they produce. That's one of the layers of what he talks about. The other big thing that he goes into is observing this image, figure, geometry, energy of the serpent. And he finds that there is a very clear common path or common pattern or common configuration. If you look at the symbolism, if you look at the snake, for example, the snake can also be the ladder. It can also be DNA, like that, the image of this shape, this energy. And the myths of creation. He goes into the myths of creation in like many traditions, but he also goes, because he's this biologist, he's a man of science. I really cannot repeat it, but basically what he says is everybody is really talking about the same thing using different language, like all these traditions and even science talk about the origins being dark and humid. And here, really, like my memory, but there's something about atoms. I don't know. Something about molecules. I don't know. He just kind of describes. It starts off as dark and humid. There's a snake, spiral, DNA, coil, ladder involved. That even sperm, when the sperm meets the egg in a dark, humid environment. And this arriving of the snake, of the ladder, of the sperm or the whatever, brings this spark, this light of life. The snake in this way is like, yes, the creating force, the creating initial force that brings light and holds all this intelligence. And I think really that's as far as I can talk about of what's in the book. As I start speaking, I connect very deeply to these things that my friend and I were feeling. We were like, my journey started off with this wanting to meet God. And then in my first experience with this tea, I found myself face to face with whatever created me. And then with this book, with this cosmic serpent, this energy, like we were like really exploring creation, creation. This tea, this sacrament is genuinely and absolutely both a holder and a portal of divine intelligence. Divine intelligence in the sense of creation, like opening to the codes of what everything is made of. It's hard to talk about. At least for me, it's hard to talk about. It's hard to put these things in words. Anyway, this book is about that, approached from the mind of a scientist with a scientific method. So I highly recommend it, and we can continue with our story. We've gone through this journey and through these 9 ceremonies. I had this experience of, okay, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to go into this relationship with this sacrament and with this white bearded man that's in here. He had passed already. By the time I saw that picture, he had passed already. And I didn't know much about him. I just knew he was one of the guides within this. Anyway, so we're in this room, seeing and feeling the serpent. And I remember our conversation. We were like seeing the skin of this cosmic serpent in our skin, and we were feeling like the whole room was like the skin of the cosmic serpent. And we're part of this weaving, and we're talking about, like the actual documentary that we're gonna make is gonna be about our journey. It's gonna be about our journey and what we're finding in here. A lot of things had to happen and will happen. When I come back, why did I jump like that? I don't know. But anyway, that was the last day of our trip. We come back, we arrive in Mexico, and when we arrive in Mexico, I find out that my father had passed away. That my father had passed away a month earlier. And his partner at the time had decided not to tell us. Híjole, it was so strong, so heartbreaking, so ay. It was super strong. I felt his presence with me so much in this trip in Brazil. He was with me a lot. Like even before this picture of this guide that reminded me of my father, I just felt his presence a lot during this trip. But coming back to this piece of news was so strong. And oof, coming to terms, trying to digest the leader of the ceremonies in Mexico tells me there's going to be a special ceremony this weekend. There's going to be a special ceremony with the Huichol people. The Huichol people are the caretakers. It's an ancient tribe, indigenous tribe in Mexico. And they work, I don't know, no, work is not the word. One of the central elements of their culture is hikuri. Hikuri is peyote. Peyote is the cactus that grows in the sacred desert of Wirikuta. We spoke about in, I don't know, maybe episode 1, 2, 1. I guess it was 1. So he calls me and he tells me, listen, there's going to be this special ceremony with the Huichol people, with the sacrament of peyote in our church. And this sacrament works very deeply with, like, I think it's going to help you digest this thing of your father. I don't know. I've been in Brazil, like, I've been in 9 ceremonies in Brazil. It's a lot. It's a lot of energy moving. It's a lot of things happening, visions, and a lot to digest. And but anyway, I end up going. And I end up going, and I think I'm going to leave it there. Chan can chan. I end up going to find the next piece of the puzzle. Chankin churris. That's it. See you in the next episode.